There was a Indian festival, movie festival, a couple of years ago. All, you know, songs and pictures and everything, Indian. And they showed one picture of rain, and you have never seen rain like that. It is just like torrents of rain. Well, I don't know why he liked it, but that it was. I saw it with my own eyes. Thank you. When Bengali films were shown here in 1997, landscapes mirrored the poems he had written about the land, and in one instant it showed the pelting of the rain, virtually pouring like I told you. Tagore simply loved when it rained. Rain and clouds and the river are constantly mentioned in his prose and poems, but of mountains, very little. Tagore wrote Gitanjali between 1907 and 1910. It means Song of God, prayer song. It is only a small, slim book of 123 pages, but the words are powerful, bringing to the book all his sorrows, emotions, and fervor for life. He wrote it in Bengali and then translated it into English and sent the papers to Yeats to edit. Yeats was absolutely overwhelmed and gave a reading to all the literary figures of those times that were equally impressed. The book was mailed to the Nobel Prize Committee for consideration, and in 1913 was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature. It brought Tagore sudden fame and took Europe by storm. Because of the Nobel Prize, his name reached every corner of Europe, US, and the Far East. Gitanjali's popularity was phenomenal. The first commercial edition came out in March and was reprinted 13 times before the end of the year, and 14 times more within the next 5 years. Unfortunately, I read recently the Nobel Prize award was stolen. We never heard anything else whether it was retrieved or not. This is how Ezra Pound described the work of Gitanjali. As we read his pieces in Gitanjali, we seem to be reading the Psalms of King David of our time. This is what Tagore said after being selected for the Nobel Prize. Now I will have no peace, which was true. On the other hand, did he strive for fame all his life? Fame does not come with peace. Shortly after the acceptance of the Nobel Prize, the conferment of knighthood followed in 1914. He was now Sir Rabindranath Tagore. Invitations followed from all over the world, and Tagore made 5 visits to the States. The first one in 1912. He was welcomed with great ovations wherever he went and wherever he spoke. Robert Frost has given readings of his poems. Albert Schweitzer called him the Goethe of India. While in Sweden, Tagore saw a Swedish version of his play, The Post Office. In Stockholm, a Swedish writer set out one of Tagore's poems to music. After hearing his lecture, he described Tagore's poems thus: Rabindranath Tagore entered the hall, quietly it seemed to me, as if a white sacred flame flared up suddenly over the thousands and thousands of heads of the men and women present. But Tagore did not speak, he sang. His voice sounded like a nightingale's song. Smooth, his songs have a touch of genius. They deal with universal aspects of laughter and tears, and sorrow and joy, and desolation and death. Astonishingly, Tagore could not play any instrument. Here is one paragraph. Oft thou touchest me with dawn, softly, laughingly withdrawn, came what messengers of late, pushing past sleep's rosed gate. Waking to the search I find, that my eyes with tears are blind. In the years from 1899 to 1907, death hit Tagore very hard. He lost 2 close friends. He lost brothers one by one, and his nephews too. In 1902, his wife, Mrinalini, died. His daughter, Renuka, in 1903. His father, in 1905. And his youngest son, Samindra, his favorite, in 1907. The death of his son hit him the hardest. His son died of cholera when he was only 11. On hearing the news, he rushed to a town named Longyear, where Samindra was staying, and returned to Sanjiketan, numbed with grief. He began to nurse a tree which had been planted by Samindra. Every day he would water the plant and take loving care of it with his own hands. It became a daily ritual. Tagore's wife was only 30 when she died. The doctors were unable to diagnose what was wrong, and she gradually faded. Renuka was not yet 12 when she contracted TB in late 1902, before her mother's death. Though married, she was still a child. Tagore received the Nobel Prize in 1913. But before that, in 1911, Ravi wrote the book, The Post Office. So universal was its appeal, that's a play, that it was translated into many European languages. It was a poignant story about a small boy not allowed to leave his room, waiting to die. With this book and others, Tagore touched the lives of so many people unknown to him. In 1940, the evening before Paris fell to the Nazis, André Gide's French translation was read over the radio. And in 1942, in the Warsaw Ghetto, a Polish version was the last play performed in the orphanage of Janusz Korczak. After the performance, he was asked why he chose that play, and he answered, "Eventually, one had to learn to accept serenely the angel of death." Within a month, he and his children were taken away, and he asked, Gandhi first met Tagore in March in 1915 when he visited Sanjaniketan. From then on, students and teachers observed March 10th as Gandhi Day. Gandhi called Tagore the great sentinel. Tagore described the Mahatma as the greatest soul in beggar's clothing. The reverence and admiration and the deep feeling of love and friendship which Tagore had for Gandhi is reflected in his own words. He spoke of him, "Perhaps he will fail, as the Buddha failed and as Christ failed, to wean men from their iniquities, but he will always be remembered as one who made his life a lesson for all ages to come." I will be ahead of myself a little and talk about Tagore's trip to China in 1920. Sun Yat-sen himself invited Tagore. After speaking in Shanghai and Hangzhou, he went to Nanking. 10,000 students turned out to meet Tagore.